Putty tat.
Yeah, it's Zach, stepping up to the game, living life prepared, I'm not here for the fame, with a plan in my hand, gotta make it alright, through the storms and the struggles, I'm ready to fight, prepare for the worst while I aim for the best, Zach's unique prepping, we're reaching new heights, living strong and ready, we're chasing the lights, with courage as armor, we'll conquer the day, together we rise, we'll fight our own way. Stacking knowledge and skills, I'm building my base. In this world of chaos, I'm finding my space. No fear in the hustle, I'm sharpening my tools. When the world brings the waves, I'm breaking the rules. Stand tall, keep grinding, never lose sight. Yeah, Zach's unique prepping, we're reaching new heights. Living strong and ready, we're chasing the lights. With courage as armor, we'll conquer the day. Together we rise, we'll find our own way. We'll find our own way. Stand tall, keep grinding, never lose sight. Stacking knowledge and skills, I'm building my base. In this world of chaos, I'm finding my space. No fear in the hustle, I'm sharpening my tools. When the world brings the waves, I'm breaking the rules. Stand tall, keep grinding, never lose sight. Never lose sight. Yeah, stand tall, keep grinding, never lose sight. Let's break every chain, with Zach in the lead. We'll never feel pain, never feel pain, never feel pain. With Zach in the lead, we'll never feel pain, never feel pain, never feel pain. With Zach in the lead, we'll never feel pain. With Zach in the lead, we'll never feel pain. With Zach in the lead, we'll never feel pain. We'll never feel pain, we'll never feel pain. We'll never feel pain.
Welcome to Unique Prepping. My name is Zach, and I'm here to show you that no matter the challenges we face, like my own experience with cerebral palsy, we can all be prepared. Prepping isn't just about survival, it's about independence, confidence, and community. You see, prepping is for everyone. It's about taking control of our future, no matter our limitations. Here on Unique Prepping, I'll share tips, techniques, and strategies that anyone can use, regardless of ability. Together, we'll build a community where everyone contributes, learns, and grows stronger. So, whether you're a seasoned prepper or just getting started, join me on this journey. Let's empower ourselves and unite to create a better, more resilient future. Because in this community, everyone has a role to play. Disclaimer. While this stream is intended for everyone, some views expressed by guests or in comments may not reflect that of the content creator or sponsors. With that said, we welcome your views as a vital part of this community. And now it's time for Unique Preppings Community Live Stream.
Diva and I are both, we love that intro. We're both like, wow.
Oh,
Awesome.
it is so good, Zach. And you made that through Udio, right?
The song? No.
Oh, you didn't make it through Udio. Okay.
Oh,
I thought he did.
yeah. It's much longer than mine. Mine cut off. I love his song. Beautiful.
Hey, Cool Gamer.
Hey,
Thanks for coming
everybody.
in and hanging out with us.
I'm in there too. I just haven't got to say hello because of the way my setup is. Whee!
Oh, no.
I'm here. Here and here and here. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us, Zach.
Hi,
Appreciate
Brutal
it.
Bob. Hello, Shawnee.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you, Mrs. Ghetto.
Appreciate you.
I use Donna AI.
Aw, here's the best live. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, we
Yes,
did it.
exactly. Yep, it looks pretty nasty. I can't believe I think they said it's a 4 already. It just upgraded. I'm not sure.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, Mrs. Gatto. Thank you. Hey, Josh. Hey, everybody. Hey, 420 Wild Dragon, Crazy Bee Gaming, everybody who came in early, and Nomad Beads, thank you. Yeah, I'm on the southeast side of Florida, so we actually already had some tornadoes churning in the morning from the system, but we really didn't get much. It knocked some small branches out of my strangler fig, but Delray Beach, which is not too far from me, had a tornado kick up this morning right before I drove my daughter to work, which was a little scary. Hey, Duncan.
Yeah.
Hey, Brenda. Good to see you.
Yeah, at 4 a.m. or, just after 4 a.m. this morning here on the island, on the West Coast, we had an earthquake that actually affected the island here, which
That's crazy.
yeah, a lot of people were awake around that time, which I was, but I didn't experience it. But some people, they did. It lasted only a few seconds. So crazy things over here too.
Only when I ever went through it, I was little, on my stomach at a sleepover in California. It was when we lived in San Jose, and all of a sudden it just rumble, rumble, rumble. I'm like, what the But it was like as soon as we went, it was done. It was the smallest thing, but you still felt it, and it was like, whoa. Just a little bit. I didn't have the concept of what it was at that age, so I'm glad I didn't, because I went to sleep after.
Right.
But that's weird that you guys are getting it. Are you at the top of the San Andreas fault up there? Like, is it the same fault? Ooh.
Yep.
God's shaking Cali all the way up.
Yeah, no,
Good evening, our prepping community, and welcome to the 17th installment of Unique Prepping's community. On tonight's episode, we will be discussing the future of gardening and why it is important for generations to come. I'm your host, producer, and community member Unique Prepping, and with me are our wonderful community members Carol from Southern Florida Sunshine and Maureen from Diva in the Dirt. In the description down below, I put their YouTube channel links. Please go subscribe and help keep growing this beautiful community. Before we begin, how are you doing tonight?
You want to go first, Diva?
I'm doing pretty well. I think I'm doing pretty well. We've had a lot of rain and stuff like that, and which I'm grateful for, because then it's keeping things watered right now, so I don't have to go out and do it. So it's like it makes it easy, and then once it dries up, then I can go out and harvest. So I'm doing well.
I'm doing pretty good too. Just basically Mom's Day with my son. And yeah, I was expecting a little bit more from the storm, and we didn't really get much rain at all. I was surprised. It was hardly anything down our way. With those bands, I thought we were going to get a lot more. No, Matt did. Oh, good. Yeah, I don't know. Has it, if anybody in the side chat knows, because I don't have my weather app open, if it's made landfall yet. Because it's definitely a concern about where Tampa was already, I was watching the news basically most of the day to see how Florida was doing, and Tampa was already starting to get water and flooding. But what was really strange was they were showing us all the way up to Asheville has had an enormous amount of rain, and this rain that the storm is dumping on it now is already starting to cause flooding, and that Helene was down near us, but on the west side. So I'm concerned too. for some of those areas where they're getting extra rain that they're not used to this time of season, like this time of year,
Mhm.
and it's going to dump more rain on them.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially with clay soil, because it'll flood a lot easier. Here it goes right through with our sandy soil, the water.
Right. Right.
I'm grateful for that. We
Mhm.
still flood, but where I'm at, we're high enough. We're on higher ground, thank God.
Yeah,
But,
that's good. That's very
but
good.
how about
Absolutely.
you? I hope you had a good day, Zach.
That's good, and I'm doing good. Thank you for joining me on another important topic.
Hmm.
The future of gardening holds immense significance as people seek alternatives to government-controlled food systems, industrial agriculture, and the environmental issues associated with GMOs, chemtrails, and other pollutants. As concerns about food security and sustainability grow, more individuals are turning to gardening as a way to regain control over their food supply, protect biodiversity, and promote healthier ecosystems. Gardening offers an opportunity to not only produce fresh, organic food but also create resilient, self-sustaining communities that can withstand external pressures such as supply chain disruptions, environmental degradation, and political instability. This shift toward localized food production challenges the conventional narratives around climate change. Instead of relying on large-scale solutions dictated by governments or corporations, individuals can take direct action by adopting regenerative gardening practices that restore soil health, reduce
Mhm.
chemical inputs, and promote natural biodiversity. By embracing these practices, gardeners contribute to environmental healing while safeguarding their own health and food security in a world increasingly shaped by complex challenges like GMOs, chemtrails, and industrialized farming. Do you have anything to add before we get started?
Not from me.
No, that was pretty, yeah, no, all inclusive.
Before we dive into today's discussion, let me explain how we'll approach the questions. I'll start with the questions with the person at the bottom and work counterclockwise to cover each one. As always, I'll end my answers with "UP out" to keep the conversation flowing smoothly. If you have any questions or thoughts during the discussion, feel free to drop them in the chat. Also, if you're enjoying the content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment to help the algorithm keep our community growing.
Mhm.
Don't forget to check out our LinkTree in the description. There, you'll find our donation links, wish list, social media handles, and a link to join our Discord. You can also follow the merch store for new items. Thanks for being a part of Unique Prepping's community.
Awesome.
Okay, got it. Hey, Serena. See you.
Question number 1. How can gardening play a critical role in moving away from government-dependent food systems, and what benefits does this offer in terms of personal and community resilience?
Hmm. Well, one thing that I'm discovering just in since I have become a grower in the last 4 years is that over the last kind of like for August and for September, we're buying way less at the grocery store. We are
Right.
looking at what foods do we actually have here. And so it's like, sure, I don't have dairy, so we still buy our butter and some cheese, and of course, any sort of meat protein. But we wanted to kind of just take that time through the summer to go, let's use the grocery store way less, and um, eat what's in our garden, eat what we're actually growing and bringing in. And so we came up. My daughter came up with some great recipes because we did get a huge, you know, abundance of zucchini and things like that. And,
Right.
and it's like, and I'm sure we'll repeat this in most of the answers is that, here today we had this earthquake, it was only a 4. But we don't usually, we have earthquakes that are out in the ocean all the time. But they don't really, we don't feel them here. But this one was felt. And then, you know, down in the south there, you guys are faced with so much with this hurricane going through. Well, what government funded program and grocery store, like any of the grocery stores, how does that, if something goes off and we are kind of, you know, grounded into our homes again, what are you going to do? But if you, so if you're growing food and growing a garden, you know, you've got things that you've prepared, you've saved, you know, that you can continue to eat, you know, if there was, you know, huge chaos that would go on. So, you know, it's more and more where I'm not interested in, I'm more interested in what can I grow, because I do have a fairly good grow zone. So it's like I want to grow those things so that I'm not going to the grocery store and eating the GMOs and things like that. I don't, it's like I want to eat that, you know, fresh food, the fresh taste, you know, naturally grown. You know, we're using that term more so than saying organic, because nothing is really organic, right? As we've heard. But you know, go, I want to have these naturally grown foods so that I'm there, that I'm actually getting the nutrition in. So you know, that's part of my thing. And then also, like, I put up a farm stand this year in at the beginning of my street, at the end of my house here, you know. And so what's been happening is each day, you know, we just use the honor system. People are buying a few vegetables, putting their monies in the little money box. And so I look at that, even that the community around me, you know, as they're walking by, they're taking home some fresh grown foods, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
yes,
true.
exactly.
That's
And
true.
who knows what chemicals they use on produce in the
Yeah.
stores.
And hormone disruptors and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. So that's my input on that. Miss Carol?
Zach, put up your question again. Let me see if I can work through it. Let's see. How can gardening play a critical role in moving away from government-dependent food systems? First of all, when you start gardening, you realize that all the stuff in boxes is made from companies and huge conglomerates, and there's a lot of money behind that. And some of that money is the same money that's in the pharmaceutical industry. They're all tied in together. The same thing with what they're spraying our crops with. The same people who make our drugs make the pesticides they spray the crops with.
Yeah.
So it's a real circular thing. And by starting gardening, you kind of cut a spot in that circle and open it up for yourself in the community. And you're able to, like Diva said, like, give yourself fresh food that you know what's on it. Now, I know, too, you were talking about in the questions before, Zach, as far as chemtrails and things like that, that is going to come down in like acid rain, things like that. There's certain things that we have to believe that what we're doing in our garden is way better than what they're spraying the food with. And now, too, Jilly Bates has this coating that he's putting on all our produce and our vegetables that are supposed to have some kind of sticker, but I have a feeling they're going to forget the sticker, and you're going to really have to try and buy local. Like, you know, Diva said she's got her vegetable stand, to look for things like that. Your farmer's market, make sure that the person there who has produce in front of them, ask them if they actually grew it, because too, they're bringing in that produce to sell, and sometimes it's not theirs, sometimes it's sprayed. So it's something, when you are going to get better food and to pay for better food and non-GMO, you want to make sure you're getting it. So you can break that chain there by shopping local, by growing your own. You know, you cut that little pie slice out of that circular chemical to chemical. And then for resilience, down here in Florida, I always joke around like I'm a lazy gardener. What I am is that I'm a survival gardener. I learned it from David the Good. And I have things in the ground that people won't recognize. So as far as like the dependency, if something breaks down, the resilience is there, and you have to start thinking about what wild foods that you have around you that grow in your area that you might be able to rely on. We have something called Biden's alba. A lot of places in North America have maypop. Maypop you can use for a tea. It's very good for calming the nervous system. It has the fruit too, the passion fruit that a lot of us love. But look for wild foods too that you'll be able to bounce back if you aren't necessarily having a great growing time, because there are times when the garden goes. And also get to know, now's the time to get to know, to be resilient, which crops perform well for you in your area.
Absolutely.
And start putting that aside. Like for me, it's cuttings of a yam. I can grow African yams like, nobody's business. They're all over my yard now once I plant them. I can grow sweet potatoes. Those are you want to look for high calorie crops. Bananas do their own thing for us down here. So that's a fantastic thing to have in Florida. I did a video on cassava. Cassava is very resilient. Even in Africa, it's something that you can just put in and grow, and it only takes maybe a cutting about this big, and you get these large tubers that are starches for you. But yeah, that's how it can help you bounce back, basically.
Yes.
The thing is, too, is becoming more aware, I think, is a big thing for your community to bounce back of what you're putting inside your body. Like, get away from the commercially processed foods because they're full of chemicals. Shred your own cheese, for goodness sakes, because you're eating a tree. Every time you're buying shredded trees, you're eating sawdust. That cellulose is commercially cleansed sawdust and put on your food as an anti-caking agent.
Wow.
So things like that. Look into my garden. Even the leaves of certain plants are either teas and medicinal, or they can be used as a high density green that I have. So that's another thing too. Look what you can plant that is a wild plant, possibly even, that will grow, like a weed, like purslane. Purslane is a weed. However, it's very high in omega-3 fatty acids. Have some of the seeds set aside. Grow it. I don't yank it completely out of my garden. What I do is I just remove it, move it somewhere else where it might grow better.
Yeah.
And I keep it. So certain ones I keep that people would say, oh, it's a weed, toss it out. No, that one I'll keep because that's high in omega fatty acids.
Exactly.
Exactly. What works in your microclimate, Josh. It's true. Yeah, I know. People get caught up in and I do too. Like, let's plant that rare thing. Yeah, biodiverse. That's the thing too. Is that Zach's going to touch on that with some of his other questions.
Yeah. And like with what Shawnee's saying, making your own liquid fertilizer.
Yeah.
I know that when I was dealing with the grazon and in the soil that I plant all my plants in, one of the things was, using a compost tea that you've made yourself will actually heal the soil. So even though, as you said, Carol, that acid rain, it is affecting the soil, but the more that we are putting in our compost teas and things like that, we're continuing to, do what we can to heal the soil. And I do really like what you said, that, here's that vicious, cycle that's going around, and you actually just, cut right through it and you go, not going to have that middleman, not going to have that. It's so good to view it in that, where you go, the buck stops here. And so how many, you got the different people that are here on this chat and those that are not, but they all have that the buck stops here. So, we are making a wave of going, not depending on you, not going to need. So that was really good.
Thank you.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, we have some place that does that here too. It made a business out of it. It's an excellent idea. If you don't have that in your town, that is a business right there. It's getting food scraps and composting, warm composting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it way better? Yeah, Shelly Seashells. Yeah, that's where Roots and Refuge, where she says about store-bought tomatoes taste like disappointment after she started growing. She started growing her own. She's like, they look so pretty, but they don't taste like my homegrown ones. That's so true.
No,
Oh,
no,
Tina to
exactly,
get a.
exactly.
Oh, cool, Andrew. Andrew is our friend who's up in the Arctic Circle. Andrew's Northwest Coins. He's having caribou soup for dinner. Pretty cool, Andrew.
Mm,
I can say I have never had caribou.
no, no, I would agree.
That's awesome. The bull shipper. That's good. Yeah, and that's another thing too is and Zach has a question about that is the biodiversity of your backyard and using it for you rather than allowing it to work against you.
Yep.
And Josh touched on that too. We all have different microclimates. You might be in a certain zone, but your microclimate might be slightly in a different zone.
Yeah.
Or you might deal with like us now that we put up a fence. I'm dealing with a lot of shade and it's aggravating. I will tell no lies. It is aggravating. I'm dealing with either direct sun or lots of shade, and there's not much in between. So yeah, just learning your sun. It's basically mapping your sun too in the area where you want your garden and knowing what plants go in dappled light, what plants are shade, shade, and what plants you need with direct sun and in between. You want to ask the next one, Zach?
Oh, he's got to finish it.
Okay. He's probably
Gardening allows individuals and communities to take control of their food sources, reducing dependency on large-scale agricultural systems that are often influenced by government regulations and policies. When people grow their own food, they have direct access to fresh, healthy produce, which mitigates the risks associated with food shortages or supply chain disruptions.
Right.
This self-reliance empowers communities, giving them the ability to provide for themselves without relying on external sources. Gardening also allows for localized decision-making, where people can grow crops suited to their climate, soil, and preferences rather than relying on mass-produced options dictated by market demands. Communities that prioritize gardening as part of their food system also strengthen their resilience in times of crisis. Natural disasters, economic downturns, or political instability can disrupt food supplies, but a community with a robust gardening culture can better weather such challenges. By growing their own food, communities create a buffer against external shocks, preserving both food security and local economies. Gardens also foster a sense of community as people work together, share knowledge, and support each other in their gardening efforts, which further enhances social cohesion and mutual aid. Local gardening practices also offer environmental benefits, reducing the need for long-distance food transportation that relies heavily on fossil fuels. Instead of importing fruits and vegetables from distant farms, individuals can grow seasonal crops in their own backyards or community spaces, significantly lowering their carbon footprint. This approach aligns with regenerative and permaculture principles, which focus on creating sustainable, self-sustaining ecosystems that minimize waste and promote biodiversity. By growing food locally, people also reduce the demand for industrial farming practices that contribute to soil depletion, habitat destruction, and other environmental problems. Gardening also has a psychological and physical impact on individuals, promoting well-being through direct interaction with nature. The process of planting, nurturing, and harvesting food can provide a sense of accomplishment, purpose, and independence.
Absolutely.
It encourages healthy eating habits and fosters a deeper understanding of the natural cycles of growth and regeneration. Gardening reconnects people with their food, providing a powerful antidote to the disconnection many feel in today's industrialized food system, where consumers have little knowledge of where their food comes from or how it's produced. In addition to personal benefits, gardening can play a larger role in food sovereignty movements, which advocate for communities' rights to control their food production. These movements argue that food is a basic human right and that corporate and government control over agriculture undermines this right. By encouraging gardening and other local food production methods, food sovereignty movements seek to reclaim power over food systems, ensuring that individuals and communities can make decisions about what they grow, how they grow it, and how it's distributed. Gardening thus becomes not only a practical means of producing food but also a political act of reclaiming independence from centralized control. Yuki
Amen.
out.
Mhm. Yeah. You want wait on the that's yours first.
Right. Question 2.
Question number 2. How can discussions around chemtrails and GMOs offer alternative explanations for environmental damage, and how can regenerative gardening methods address these issues?
Hmm. That one's a tough one for me. For me personally, just because the discussion around chemtrails, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, if you said there's chemtrails, like, oh no, they're not chemtrails. There's no chemtrails, no such thing. They used to do them. They're not doing them anymore.
Right.
And now they've turned around and they've said, oh, we're cloud seeding because we're trying to keep the earth cool, right?
Yeah.
So
We're protecting you. We're
yeah,
keeping you safe.
so for people who are not in this camp, it's hard to approach them and talk about the chemtrails, just to say, yeah, you know what that thing is up there, that is not good. There are um, teeny tiny metallic particles that are in there, and that's not good for our environment.
Right.
um, and to try to convince people because of what they're being fed, unfortunately. And I just say that as speculation.
Right.
I don't really know anything. I'm just having a little bit of fun and humor, just as my disclaimer.
Right.
um, but the thing is, one thing for sure, people are very aware of the GMOs, and just whatever they're doing. Like when you go into a grocery store, I remember last year in one of the big box stores, you go in and all the cantaloupes, like as you're walking up, you go, are those plastic? Because they were all so
Perfect.
perfectly, had the
Right.
lines, every line was exactly the same. And my
Right.
friend had bought some raspberries, and they were big raspberries. You look at them and think, oh, those are going to be good. And she said they were flavorless. They weren't good. And so you go, okay, so you know that they're putting stuff in there. Um, I know in European countries, they don't allow any growing with GMOs, which, you go, and why can't we do it here? And even I think the products that we sell from North America, we'll sell them to our own people, but they'll leave out those, ingredients that aren't, um, good. But the thing is that with your GMOs, when you're growing those plants, it's just they've been so hybridized that where's the nutrition even coming from, within the soil? There's not a whole heck of a lot in there. And so then it's like there is no nutrition in the food, but you get used to that taste. And then when you do give someone some fresh tomatoes or some fresh fruit that you've grown, they go, wow, I remember that taste.
Right.
And with the exception of would be one way to go. Here, have some of my, have some spaghetti squash, have some zucchini, have some, peppers. Remember what food used to taste like. So, other than that, I wouldn't really know how to address the issues except for keep doing what I'm doing myself
Mhm.
personally. So I'm sure Carol's got some, good wisdom.
Yeah, I hope so. I told Zach he's like way above my pay grade, basically.
Oh my gosh.
Brainiac. I would say like they're damaging our environment on their own. They don't need our help. They're doing it all on their own with all the things that they're spraying into the atmosphere. They are contaminating our air. Then it later is raining down on us through acid rain. Uh, then we have like the GMOs they're spraying all over our ground, and then it's going into the runoff and it becomes a cycle. So it's going back up into the rain. And this is something, they talk about carbon footprint. Okay, let's talk about carbon. There is a natural breathing process between us and our trees, and we give off carbon and they give us oxygen. And there
Yes.
is this natural process with compost. You balance your carbons in your compost. You
Yes.
need carbon. And they're making it some horrible bad guy. But it is part of a more natural process than these chemicals that they're spraying in the air, that they're spraying into the crops. Much like cow farts are even more natural than what they're doing to our food and what they're doing to our air, and then therefore also doing to our water. And then doing it to our animals, like with hunters and things like that. I'd be curious to know if anybody ever tracked the meat and the animal as far as what they're seeing that the animals are picking up in
Yeah.
their meat just from the environment, the wild animals. But as far as regenerative gardening, that's a really good carbon footprint that you're making. You are working kind of like with food forestry is how I understood regenerative gardening. Pardon me, I can't even say the word. With the chop and drop, and just allowing what a forest would do naturally, where it's dropping its cover over
Very
the soil and then feeding the soil with its leaves. That's that regeneration of the soil. So you're constantly with chop and drop creating new soil.
Yeah.
You're doing that type of farming method. You're not and that's also feeding the soil, feeding the microbes. Whereas if you go in, you till everything up, you spray everything, the things that you add to the soil where it's synthetic, it is killing those microbes. And that's how, like a long time ago, they ended up with Dust Bowl, because they were not using regenerative gardening, and those microbes were not like forming the soil web underneath the soil that keeps the soil healthy and intact and moist and keeps the water in the soil for the plants. But I would say, they're doing it. We're not doing anything to the environment that is any worse than what's being done to it by the governments that are above us, making the big choices.
Right. For our well-being.
For
I do
our
like
for our
what
well-being.
Shawnee said, like, she did a perfect answer. Regenerative gardening can help protect us from the chemtrails. We practice
Yeah.
keeping the soil covered and using the chop and drop, cover crop, mulching and layering, feed the better.
Exactly.
Basically what you just also said.
Yeah. I wasn't even looking. I was
Feeding
telling
those
Sean.
microbes.
Yeah. You got to feed the
And
microbes that are in the soil.
and so that is the main thing, is taking that time. She also said maximize diversity, tuck fast growing crops in like radishes in between slow growers like squash, the Three Sisters, and corn, dry pole beans, winter squash, creeping plants on the ground climbing vertically. Now, of course, the plants themselves are being affected by whatever is falling out of the sky.
Yes.
But
Rotation.
you are doing what you can do to protect the soil, and to keep that where we are feeding the soil.
Yeah. And also learning to eat in season, which I haven't done myself, and I need to do my research, but learning to eat in season, and like what North Cal Jim said, crop rotation also helps. Absolutely. Also knowing too, like when your soil has an issue, you don't always have to go and spray it. You don't even also always have to use neem. You just plant something else in it that those things are not going to affect.
Right.
And let those things die out. With mustard greens, if you have nematodes in the soil, they hate mustard greens and they hate French marigolds. The plants give off a certain kind of natural pesticide that they will not reproduce in the roots like they will in your tomatoes. And you can see, if you're in Florida and you lift up tomatoes, you'll know if you have root knot nematodes, because you'll see them right in your roots. You'll see these little balls, and it just looks all janky. That's my word.
Wow.
Danky. It looks all
Thank
crazy and
you.
bubbly. They look like little bubbles, and that's the nematodes reproducing. Pest bugs have been harmful this year.
Mm,
Yes, they have everywhere. That's what I was hearing. That the pickle worms were really bad.
yeah, I'd never
We're
heard of them.
just going into our season, so we'll see what happens. I haven't even gotten my plants out because we've had nonstop rain, and then I was expecting it today, so I didn't even plan on it. We're still in the 90s
Yeah.
too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And so
Yes.
Shawnee's saying also to take that rainwater
Yep.
and add it into your liquid fertilizer to combat the chemicals. So yeah,
Yep.
that's another very good good point of, and you're not doing these things out of fear, or it's just like this is what I need to do to with my little, my
Mhm.
little postage stamp in this world, that I'm making sure that the footprint that I'm creating here is full of good carbon that's feeding
Yeah.
all my plants. And then of course, they're like, my daughter has always said, it'd be neat to see what does it look like, um, to be able to see what parts are showing that there is just tons of oxygen right around and over our house, like as opposed to the neighbors or across the street. It's like, what is
Right.
the difference? Would be cool to measure just to see just how we are shifting that. So
Right. Right. I don't know if you know the bull shiffer, although they like the same kind of situation. The dragonflies and mosquitoes, they both love a little moisture and water and reproduction that way. But your dragonflies that you want to reproduce in your yard will also eat your bees. They don't just eat mosquitoes, they eat bees. So you want to be really careful to just get that balance all the way around and grow a diversity of plants and do like how he calls it, and other people call it polyculture, and interplanting and keeping plants close as a way to also cover the soil.
yeah.
So to go after like a specific, like this one is going to kill off this one, you might throw off the biodiversity in your backyard by doing that. You might end up, okay, you've got all these dragonflies. Well, now where are your bees to pollinate your plants?
Mhm.
The dragonflies are eating them. So there is gardening though, where you can specifically plant a small garden for the bugs that are beneficial. It's like beneficial bug gardening that you can
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, I was going to say for the mosquitoes, lavender
Yeah,
and lemon balm is
yeah,
another one that can
yeah,
seem to deter them. And
yeah,
I forget the other one. It's another
yeah.
lemony one.
Yeah, people don't realize too with the bees, like even some of the organic measures that we use, like diatomaceous earth will kill bees.
Mm,
Yeah, and I found that out from somebody who has bees, and yeah, they told me, and I was like, wow, I had no clue. And they're also the same person who told me about dragonflies, and I was shocked. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Wow.
mm. Yeah,
Wow.
so the bull schiffer, I would, if you've got lavender, is take some and start, you know,
Yeah.
rubbing it on your clothes.
Yeah, the bull schiffer, he's in Florida. We have something called beautyberry. Get that in your
Mm,
backyard. You rub it between your hands and you rub it, all over yourself too, and that helps. Also, make sure in your yard that you have no standing water. If you
mhm,
have like a bird feeder that you've got out there or whatever, put some mosquito dunks in it. Make sure it's the ones that are just made out of like neem and not some other chemicals or something like that.
right.
That's right. All creatures, big and small, will show up when you grow food forests. Yeah, when you make your backyard like a forest, they will. They
Yeah.
find a home, all of them, and they start to balance each other out. Maureen and I both love this movie. She always is it The Little Big Farm? The Big
Mhm,
Little
the
Farm?
biggest little farm.
She's watched it a couple times. I need to go back and refresh myself. But it was, I think, the seventh year when they finally had it all balanced out.
Yes,
But it
yes.
took them 7 years from going to a totally dead soil to a regenerated soil, and also a regenerated, biodiverse, just the animals, the bugs, like everything started to balance each other out. It was incredible. So if you
Mm.
haven't seen that movie, or
Mhm,
a
mhm.
great old documentary movie, it's a great one to watch.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh yeah, we have. That's horrible. The bullshit for. I
So
am.
Tambra and Mrs. Ghetto, what zone are you guys in? Because neither of them can grow lavender.
Yeah, I can't really grow lavender either. It's one of the ones that it needs a cold. It's you'll have to put it in your fridge. It needs
You have to have chill hours.
yeah, it needs chill hours. It needs chill hours. Yes.
The climate change narrative has focused heavily on reducing carbon emissions and implementing green technologies, often overlooking other potential environmental contributors like chemtrails and GMOs.
Mhm.
Some argue that these factors, rather than simply carbon emissions, play a significant role in environmental degradation. Chemtrails, which are believed to involve the release of chemicals or particulates into the atmosphere, may have adverse effects on ecosystems by altering weather patterns and affecting soil and water quality. GMOs, on the other hand, have been linked to loss of biodiversity, increased pesticide use, and the long-term health of ecosystems due to the monoculture farming practices they encourage. Regenerative gardening offers an alternative that addresses environmental damage by focusing on restoring ecosystems, rebuilding soil health, and fostering biodiversity. Regenerative methods like composting, crop rotation, and polyculture systems help rebuild the soil's natural microbiome, which is crucial for long-term agricultural productivity and resilience. Unlike industrial farming practices that degrade the land, regenerative gardening prioritizes sustainable techniques that work in harmony with nature. It promotes water retention in soil,
Mm.
reducing the need for irrigation and protecting against drought, which may be exacerbated by chemtrail activity. Chemical fertilizers and pesticides associated with GMOs have been criticized for their negative environmental impact, including water contamination and the destruction of beneficial insects and soil organisms. Regenerative gardening moves away from these harmful inputs, focusing on natural pest control methods like companion planting, encouraging beneficial insects, and using organic fertilizers like compost or manure. This approach creates a healthier, more balanced ecosystem, mitigating the risks posed by the introduction of harmful chemicals into the environment, whether from chemtrails or industrial agriculture. Genetically modified crops often lead to the cultivation of monocultures, which reduce biodiversity and make ecosystems more vulnerable to pests, diseases, and environmental stressors. Regenerative gardening counters this by promoting diversity in plant species, which helps create resilient ecosystems capable of adapting to changing conditions. By growing a variety of crops and incorporating native plants, regenerative gardens support pollinators and other wildlife, contributing to healthier ecosystems. This diversity also reduces the risk of crop failure due to pests or diseases, providing a more secure food source for those who practice it. While the mainstream environmental debate often focuses on macro-scale interventions, regenerative gardening advocates for local, grassroots approaches to environmental restoration. Individuals and communities can begin regenerative practices on a small scale, creating pockets of ecological resilience. Over time, as more people adopt these methods, they can have a cumulative positive effect on the broader environment, potentially countering some of the damage attributed to chemtrails and GMOs. Regenerative gardening serves as a reminder that environmental solutions do not always need to come from top-down government initiatives but can instead be cultivated in backyards and community gardens. UP out.
That's great. That's great, Zach.
It is.
Question number 3.
Question number 3. In the face of increasing reliance GMOs in the food supply, how can home gardeners preserve heirloom seeds and natural biodiversity to ensure food security for future generations?
Well, of course, starting starting with a non-GMO seed to start, and to take the time, I guess, to look and to learn. How do you preserve your seeds? And and back to what you said, Carol, with I think in the first question, it was um, you know what are some of the plants that you go, number one, I know that I can that you can grow in your climate. Number two, what are our good, high dense calorie type foods? Your sweet potatoes and yams. Like,
Yeah.
I think that it's harder to grow those up above, like in Canada here. It's for those of us that are kind of in that lower
Right.
grow zone.
Right.
But looking for other types of root vegetables, squashes and things like that that you can grow that do have a longevity, and then to be making sure that you harvest the seeds, harvest as many as you can. I know my one friend, like he does he does kind of a ferment on his seeds, so puts them in water and swirls them around and rinses them over a few days, and then starts to dry them. And I think for him, his germination rate is usually pretty darn good. But making sure, number one, is collect as many of the seeds that you can of the foods that you and your family eat, and those ones that would be good in calories, as I said before. And then like I know one of the tomatoes um, that I'm growing it actually did come from a grocery store, but it came from my mom. And so with that seed, I'm you know turning around, and I'm making sure that I plant it every year, and harvest it every year, save the seeds, because I would like to go.
Mhm.
This has been a Roma tomato that's been,
Right.
you know, in our family, since 2020, and I want it to be for my kids and my grandkids. That this would be a tomato plant that future generations of my family would grow, that came from my mom. And that to me is important, not just the seed, but just the history of it, of their great grandma, and whoever I'm at. I wasn't a grower, so I did take the seed and then and brought that life to it, um, so that it would become a heritage seed for our personal family. And I, again, for the last 4 years, even though my kidults are all adults, um, I've kind of spent this time.
That's so funny. I've seen people doing that in grocery stores on shorts. It's hilarious. They're just
Yeah,
putting googly eyes on like pumpkins and stuff in the store.
yeah. And
Great.
so, oh, now I lost my little train of thought here. Where was I?
Sorry, I was getting
To
too.
ensure future security for the future generations. Yeah, no, I just lost my train of little thought.
Well, your
Just-
mom did that with the seeds that you now grow, and now you're passing them on because you have enough to share.
Yeah.
So you're ensuring it for future generations by sharing your seeds of that Nona tomato, because you're always like, you were offering that, like when we
Yeah.
were doing
Oh, yeah,
live.
yeah, and the Nona tomato, that one specifically comes from Italy, like, and it is a heritage. It is a heritage seed. Oh, I know what I was saying was that in the last, even though my adult children are adults, I spent that time. I didn't teach them how to grow when they were younger, but in these last 4 years, it's like I want them to really see this impact, which again, partly why I do the gardening videos, because I want them to refer back of, oh, mom did this, mom did that, to help her garden grow, to feed the soil, to regenerate the soil. Mom was doing all these different things. And so you know, they learned canning over these last few years. My oldest, she knows how to dress a chicken. Like she'll know exactly how to take a chicken down, so that it can be eaten. To me, these are important things. When they were younger, it was like, I want you to be able to cook a turkey dinner before you move out. You needed to be able to do the whole thing, and kind of a joke, but not. And they all know how to cook a dinner. But it's like, more importantly right now, what I want my kids to know is like, do you know how to make cheese from raw milk? Do you know how to make sourdough bread? You need your flour, salt, and water. Can
Mhm.
you create that? Can you provide food? So that is
Right.
um that's some of the things that I'm doing personally. And then, talking plants with people in my
Mhm.
community,
Right.
you know, answering questions when I can. So
I do
that's me.
appreciate that. Yeah. I I have to say Diva is further along than me as far as if you ever watch her channel, which you should, and get an eye full of her larder and how it comes off as, oh my gosh, she is very self-reliant. Look at that. Wow.
Mm,
Um, all the
thank
things that they've canned from their garden, you look in there and you see what they have made and what they have put aside, but you don't see a lot of the labels from the grocery store on cans. You see a lot of canned items that came from the garden that they created. Like she has a video on the tiki masala. Did I say that right? Sauce that they make for chicken tiki masala. Um, which is incredible. And she does make her own sourdough and is selling it to those around her. And those are the things too, is getting people used to the taste of homemade food again.
you.
They're not used to it. Like I'm not even used to it. It's a different taste because it doesn't have the drugs in it that
Yeah.
fool our brain to, keep going back for more. But it's delicious and your body doesn't have all kinds of reactions to
Yeah.
it. Like if
Yeah.
you have a sensitive system. Um, one of the things Josh had mentioned in the side chat about his tomatoes, and you know, basically, can do some. It's called weedy gardening. You can do some weedy gardening.
Mm,
You don't have to do rows. You basically are taking certain seeds and you are throwing them out and looking for the ones that grow like weeds in your climate. Save
mm,
and save those seeds. You want stuff that is very resilient and save those seeds. Do not save the seeds of your weaker plants. Always save the seeds of your strongest plants,
right. That's a
um,
very good point.
because you want those good genetics. And you also want to acclimate seeds to your area. As far as like lavender, what we were talking about, if you are in a climate like mine, lavender does not like this climate. I have difficulty with rosemary because it doesn't like wet feet. I had one growing great, and then after it came out from being a little bit covered, it totally died. Like the heat killed
Yeah.
it,
Yes.
or our tropical rain did. So there's certain plants that in certain areas they will grow like a perennial, or they'll come back, and it gets frustrating because maybe it's only an annual in your area and you're
Mm-hmm.
expecting it to grow the same as it does in that other climate, and it's just not
Right.
going to happen. You have to find out. That's a big thing too, is find out your perennials and save those seeds, because those are the things that will last the longest and you won't have to keep reseeding and replanting. um, but yeah, I don't know if I answered the question because I got taken down and I have ADHD, so I hope I helped. Thank you, Zach.
It's
uh,
very good, Carol.
thank you. Yeah, the GMOs are a big concern because I know there was that scare too that we got GMO seeds from a big name. company that a lot of the people use
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I think, opened the eyes of people of the seed industry. What
Right.
I always thought was this place grew everything, and they were taking the seed from what they grew.
Yeah.
And the dirty secret is no, there's seed trade, and seeds come from all different areas, and they're buying the seeds for their company, and they're not necessarily growing all those. Like, they'll try out the plant, don't get me wrong, but those seeds aren't coming from their soil necessarily.
Mhm.
We don't know where they're coming from always.
No, and so, finding the smaller seed companies,
Yes.
that they don't have everything. And then, more importantly, as in January, Broke Farmer says to have spring mess.
Yes.
And start sending seeds to one another, that
Yes.
we actually start going, here's, it costs you the cost of a stamp, and send some seeds to other people here. Here are, and if they're like with my Nona tomatoes, like, that's a nickname for this tomato. It's just an Italian, not just, it's Italian pear style tomato, a great paste tomato, great flavor, great size. The biggest one I grew was 1.25 pounds, and I think there was a second one that was pretty close. But they're heavy and dense and really great. And so my goal is, as we're making our sauces, I'm going to be pulling as many seeds as I can out, because I want to go here. I want other people to have this pear style tomato that came from Italy. It's absolutely fantastic and delicious. And so trading within our communities, whether we discuss it with one another, or whether you just surprise them and go, happy Springmas, and send somebody, some of your favorite things to grow. Might not be great for their grow zone, because, do I really want to spend the time to go, what zone are they in? It's like,
Right.
because they can pass them on.
They could do it. Yeah, they can grow it there, and they'll
Try
have
it, and
seeds.
if it doesn't work, then
Right.
move it along.
But if it does and they climatize it, then it's a great thing to pass around their area. Yeah,
Exactly.
joining like even a gardening club, which I've been wanting to do. There, I know that there's actually a gardening teacher who meets at our local library that I accidentally met her at a free tree giveaway, which we all missed the trees because they gave us all bad directions.
Oh no! Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
But I got to meet her, and I still need to go and see when that she's teaching that class. She teaches the Back to Eden method. And down here, what they do is they actually have to put down the cardboard to suffocate all our weeds. Right now, my whole backyard is weeds because of all the moisture and heat that we've had. And I'm just going crazy because I also have a patio area that has those bricks, and it's weeds everywhere in between that and the ones that are up against it's just weeds everywhere. And I will not spray them with any kind of chemical.
No.
So I would love to get one of those flamethrowers, though. Those would be fun.
I don't know if it would be. Okay, so I do not know what the Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway is. My daughter who brought me the tea, which someone did acknowledge. Thank you for bringing the tea. The hand that brought the tea. So I'm just going to go look this up because I've never heard of it before.
Yes, Johnny, for sure. I need to make my poo-poo juice with all those weeds. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it's huge. I don't know much about it either. I'm really I have to say, I'm very disappointed in our country when I hear about all these other countries like that have, even bomb shelters.
That's what she's saying.
We don't have bomb shelters.
Yeah.
We don't hear about these seed vaults here in America. Like, we are like preparing for really, really bad times. Why do we not have that from this government? We pay lots of taxes to
that we fund their trips, their holidays, their homes. Yeah, Marissa, she just said it's a doomsday it's a doomsday vault for your seeds,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like, oh, okay. And she said, same thing as you just did, Carol, that it should be in more places around the world.
Mhm.
So at this point, we are our own seed vaults.
Oh, Johnny said our American. Yeah, but we should have that here too. Like climatize them here too. Even in different states, like we have plants down here that they don't grow by seed; they grow by cutting. Shove a
Right.
cutting.
Right.
How are those being saved?
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing too. Is it's a big thing about money, and they don't care if we're sick, if we're happy, or even if we're barely alive. As long as they're making money off of us, that's all they care about. That's what it boils down to.
Wow.
Sad. It's very sad.
That's very cool. I'll have to look up and just look at this
Right.
the seed vault a bit more. That's very, very cool.
Oh, nice, Tamara. Oh, so you did that Japanese finish? I've seen that done. It's beautiful. I forget the name of it. Shisho. It's like shush. It has that sound in it, of course. Shush. I should shush.
Shush, shush.
Shush, shush, something. That's awesome, though, that you did it.
Yeah. I like
The
I like
widespread adoption of GMOs has raised concerns about the loss of heirloom plant varieties and the erosion of natural biodiversity. Heirloom seeds, which are open-pollinated and passed down through generations, represent a vital link to agricultural diversity, offering unique flavors, nutritional benefits, and resistance to certain pests and diseases. Home gardeners play a critical role in preserving these heirloom varieties by growing them and saving seeds for future planting. This ensures that genetic diversity is maintained, providing a safeguard against the potential risks associated with the over-reliance on genetically modified crops. Heirloom seeds offer more than just genetic diversity, they also contribute to cultural heritage and regional food traditions. Many heirloom varieties are specifically adapted to local growing conditions, making them more resilient to the unique environmental challenges of a given region. By continuing to grow and save heirloom seeds, home gardeners preserve these time-tested varieties, ensuring they are available for future generations. In contrast, GMO crops are often designed for large-scale, uniform production, which can result in the loss of regional crop varieties and the knowledge associated with their cultivation. GMOs are often associated with monoculture farming practices, where vast fields are planted with a single crop variety. This lack of diversity makes crops more vulnerable to pests, diseases, and changing environmental conditions, which could lead to widespread crop failures. Home gardeners, by contrast, can cultivate a wide variety of plants in small spaces, creating biodiverse environments that are more resilient to pests and weather extremes. The practice of growing multiple types of crops together, also known as polyculture, helps maintain soil health, reduces pest pressures, and promotes ecological balance. Seed saving is a powerful tool for preserving biodiversity and ensuring food security. When gardeners save seeds from their own crops, they are selecting plants that have thrived in their specific environment, thereby improving the adaptability and resilience of future generations of plants. This process stands in stark contrast to GMO seeds, which are often patented and cannot legally be saved or replanted without purchasing new seeds each season.
Right.
By saving seeds, home gardeners retain control over their food production and contribute to the long-term sustainability of agriculture. Preserving heirloom seeds and biodiversity in home gardens is not only about securing food for the future but also about resisting the commodification of seeds by large corporations. Many GMO seeds are owned by a handful of companies, creating a system where farmers and gardeners must continually purchase seeds rather than cultivating their own.
Right.
By prioritizing heirloom seeds and engaging in seed-saving practices, home gardeners take a stand for food sovereignty and agricultural independence, ensuring that seeds remain a shared resource rather than a commodity controlled by a few powerful entities. UP out.
That was good. Yeah, I was just thinking of I just ordered a big box of different kind of seeds.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, you go, you know, this box is worth, more than what I paid for it.
Right.
Whatever, like this there's so much value in here
Mhm.
of all
Right.
these different seeds.
Right.
And like I'm rich in seeds.
Yeah.
It's huge wealth and huge this is a box of food that
Right.
I can share,
And one day it
super
might be
important.
currency. Like everybody keeps saying gold and silver, but I'm telling you, seeds were the currency. Oh, Zach's got a big envelope of seeds. He's so excited. Let's see him, Zach.
Yes.
It's awesome. I saw your garden too in the video. That's awesome. That's awesome. I was going to say too, when
Yeah.
we were talking about sweet potatoes, the northern climates, you guys can grow potatoes better than we can. So enjoy that. My yams are the closest thing to potatoes. But I have purple, so like I can eat them, but I've got to go and get the white or yellowish yam to fool my husband. Taro would
Right.
also work too. But you guys can grow potatoes, and we
That's
have,
true.
yeah, they're harder. People can grow them down here. It's just they can rot a lot easier down here. There was
Right.
something said, yeah, Serena, how you don't even really, it doesn't say you have to boil them necessarily. You want to clean them. And it says you can also freeze turmeric. You can even dehydrate it and turn it into your own powder and grind it up and turn it into your own powder. It depends on what you want it for. You can also store the leaves. It was saying in the freezer, it was saying you can snip those off and wrap them like for using in recipes and stews and things like that. So Google always has some great answers for that, and
Mm-hmm.
but I use it fresh. Like I store it in right on my counter. It usually lasts for a pretty good time, and then it sometimes sprouts, and I use it. Yes, there's shared resource. I was going to say on the Underground Railroad, seeds were currency. People would exchange seeds. People would also give seeds to those who were giving them freedom. And
Right.
so there is a tomato that has that story, and I can't remember the name of the tomato, but I remember Jess from Roots and Refuge telling the story, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And wow, it sounds like the future if we keep heading in that direction.
Right.
Yeah, Northern Florida can. I'm not talking about them. Northern Florida is more like the North. Yeah, Tuck, I'm talking about down here in the tropics. We can still grow them. They just tend to rot a lot easier, and it's a smaller time frame. So I filed 144 freshman. Oh my gosh. What? Well, I know that now they are gaining rights to constituents of things. So if you're growing something and that constituent is in it, that little part of, say, they got the drug, I think it's a heart drug. I think it's a statin from Foxglove. Say they own that statin and that constituent. If you grew foxglove, which is poisonous, but let's just say it's a food plant,
Yeah.
they can come after that food plant and tell you to take it out because they
Wow.
own that constituent. That's where they're kind of
Yeah.
it seems like that's what they're rolling towards is
Yeah.
yeah.
So you want to, you know, keep your seeds and put them in a safe. In all honesty, you want to have some of your favorite seeds, put it into a safe and keep it safe.
Yeah, it's really hard when you have also children who have special needs. North Cal Gym, like that is absolutely what you want to do. I was actually talking to my daughter who's high functioning autistic, and I said, what would you grow if we needed a crop? What would you have me grow? What I got out of her was strawberries. I'm like, we're not going to survive on strawberries, and they get thrips. And they get thrips in South Florida. So yeah, for her too, I'm going to have to get her to like taro somehow, make some taro French fries or some cassava fries. I don't know. Yeah.
Huh.
That's awesome that they dislike it. but there's kids that have texture issues and also sensory issues that specific foods are very difficult for them. And sadly, often it is fruits and vegetables. It's a texture
Mm.
or taste thing. Yeah. My daughter, when we did carrots, she said they tasted like perfume to her.
Huh.
And then when I ate a fresh carrot, I was like, by golly, carrots do have a floral note. They have a kind of a, when you're chewing them, a fresh one. Yeah, I think that's so important, Shawnee. She says, I love asking my kids, what should we grow? Yeah. I try to. My daughter's, in her 20s now, so she's not super into what mom does. She's, her own little adult right now. Interesting. We don't eat at McDonald's just because all their food is full of MSG that you could store it away and it'll look the same months and years. Months and years later, it looks the same. They have people who've done that with burgers, Serena, and French fries, and it just looks like it might have a French fry that might have fallen in between your car seat. And it's a couple weeks old.
Yeah,
but it's like 3 years old.
Yeah, they don't. There's so much preservative in them, and even the potatoes when they're harvested for any of the fast food chains, where they have those kind of perfect looking potatoes. When the potatoes are harvested, they put them in their big warehouses, and the farmers are wearing full on hazmat suits, and they need to let them off gas for 3 days, and they can't be around them, so they actually leave them for 3 days, and you go, so we're eating that. And and I think with the chicken, I think it was that one chef, he showed how they process the chicken for the nuggets. He showed, and there's no nutritional value in your fast food. Fast food is designed as a convenience food. It's not for health and nutrition. It's the mom driving kids from point A to point B, and this is the quickest way for me to get food into them while I'm taking them to lesson whatever. So
what Ben was saying, that was true for me, Ben. I actually was the 5-year-old who would ask for everybody's parsley because my dad was a gardener off their plate when it was just a garnish, because my dad grew parsley and I liked the flavor of it. It was just a really weird thing that my taste buds were like, parsley's really cool. I like it.
Yeah.
And everybody thought that was like, the party game there. Have her eat the parsley, and they would just the adults would giggle because they didn't want to eat it.
No.
Yeah, nothing more. Exactly, Storms. And fill your stomach and also be addictive because it's got all kinds of chemicals that affect our brain.
Yeah.
Affect our brain. But I wish that was true though, Ben, with my children. Both my children are on the spectrum. The spectrum children, you have to work at it a lot more. Yeah.
And it's difficult.
Yeah, Ben, I don't even shop there. I do not even shop there. I see people doing these big hauls from that store, and I will not even shop there. I've had too many bad experiences at that store. Yeah. Too many fillers. They'll make things that look like they're organic and like from another store that you buy that might be like, say, Whole Paycheck or, another upscale store. It looks like it. So you grab it at that store, the German-owned store, and you get it home, and then this isn't gluten-free rice. This isn't it's got this and that, and you see all these added ingredients that aren't in the one that it looks like a copy of.
Yeah. Well, my mom, she just discovered that as well as not being able to eat gluten, that she can't have any food that has cellulose in it. Like she'll go into an epileptic seizure if she eats something with cellulose, which that is in a lot of food.
It is, and that's your wood chips. That's your sawdust. Good for you, North Cal. You don't need them. We got a Sprouts and I like kind of going in there. It reminds me of how Whole Paycheck used to be before they went hugely corporate. Like
Right.
they blew apart and blew up. Yeah, me either, Ben. I don't. Mm-mm.
I like what Shawnee said. We needed to change the mindset that fresh raw food is fast food. I like that.
Yeah, right. And that's one of the things I've been looking at a raw food diet, and it's not easy because you're used to those, especially like I'm ADHD. And ADHD, we are always struggling to get that dopamine into our brain because we struggle having enough dopamine in the brain. And of course, fast food gives it to you. All those boxed foods and snacks give it to you. And that is the hard part is they're drugging us. So you're coming basically off drugs, the same thing. You're coming off sugar. You're basically coming off cocaine.
Yeah.
So you have to give yourself time to acclimate to it. And it takes a little time to find those things too that hit that spot for you, I guess, but are still like a raw food or something healthy for you.
Mm-hmm. Finding the right.
Yeah. I love gardening, harvesting. That's awesome. It's got a. My son unfortunately rips everything apart when I take him outside, or he makes mud and wants to just slather it all over himself. So yeah, it's very. I can only really garden when I'm pretty much by myself. I'll take him
Late
out.
at night.
Yeah, I do show him like because he likes to rip out plants, so I have him help me, take out a couple of the, weeds, but then he'll not understand the difference between a weed and mommy's, what I'm growing, like
Mm-hmm.
my good oregano or whatever that I don't want.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot Duncan was in the chat. She knows all about turmeric and ginger, how to store it. That's awesome, Mark Jim. Yeah, I'm probably going more towards the vegan, that I can never say the word right. But basically raw, more towards the raw fruits and vegetable lifestyle, and away from dairy and meat because it just like I probably can do like a pescatarian diet. Girl, Dad, cooking up. You got to do it. You got to do it.
Girl, Dad, cooking up deliciousness.
Hey, girl, Dad, good to see you. I forgot you were sick. I'm sorry. I hope it didn't hurt your throat.
Oh no, nothing hurts my throat. It's just how stuffed up I am, and
I have I got my yogi tea out after you said throat coat today. I was like, let me get some. I have the I think it's a breathe. It's got the mullein in it, and then I have a dandelion detox is what I'm drinking.
Okay.
Still drinking throat coat? Oh, he's gonna put it in. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet.
By the way, Carol, since you have a special needs child, do you want to see a design for merch that I made?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Show it. I would love to see it, Zach. Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. And you have that on your .com on your website? Love it.
That's beautiful.
That is absolutely beautiful. They do all matter. That's so true. It's a really great design, Zach. I like it a lot.
I agree. Yeah, I'm not for the one where they say one group matters. I'm not for that at all. And like, no, all lives matter.
Yeah, Storm, it's all hormones. So I might do occasional meat, but I really need to know that it's good and it's fresh. Like, Diva was saying, I need to find a place that is an actual butcher near me. Yeah, which are hard. They're, we have a lot of tricksters in the food
Mhm.
industry.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw his. That's what it. I have noticed that. Yeah, I don't. I love dairy, like my mouth does, but my body, my body is like, mm-mm. Oh no, you can't give us that.
Don't do that. Don't do
No, no,
that. Don't
don't
give
do
us
that.
that. Yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah, everybody likes it.
logo.
It is beautiful.
Hmm
I love it.
Pardon me.
That's something I would wear.
On a
I'd like.
T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 4. What
Oh.
strategies can be employed by gardeners to reduce their dependence on chemical inputs and government-controlled food sources, creating more self-reliant and sustainable systems?
Well, gotta first of all really like gardening.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think being in a community such as this, where we're spending time with one another to gain encouragement, to gain wisdom, being able to ask questions. That's another huge thing, is that when you don't know, like I know uh, with Duncan, anytime she's in the chat, she has experience in probably every
Mhm.
food, every
Hunt.
method of preserving,
Yes.
hunting, all of it. Like, so she's a wealth of knowledge to grab a hold of and to ask those questions to, because she'll steer you down that right path. And so, creating a community that you can bounce things off of, encourage one another, learning how, it's like taking the time. I know I'm trying each year to get to a place where I'm better at it, where I'm actually planning out my garden ahead of time, so that I
Right.
am prepared when the weather changes, that I can be dropping seeds in, and keeping that sort of thing organized. Up until 4 years ago, yeah, I still am a jazz and blues singer, but my world revolved around creating music and teaching voice. And
Right.
now my world revolves around becoming more self-sufficient and self-sustainable, and then trying to teach other people, my family, friends as well, on how to just start small and build up from there, because it's like, yeah, when I grow up, I want to be a Duncan 1900 homestead.
Right. I do.
I want to go that direction. So, look at the ones that have led the way, and follow in their trail, and then bring more with you, you know. So so that I'm in a place where my long-term goal is, I want to have a piece of property where I have some, dairy cows, and and the pigs, and so that it's like we are at a place where it's like we need nothing. We
Right.
need nothing. you know it's like we can make our own milk, and or not make, but we make our own cheese and butter and other dairy products from the raw milk that
Right.
comes from our cows, that we have our cows slaughtered, that we have meat birds, that we have pigs that we raise for meat, where it's to get to that place where you go, I there is no reason for me to ever enter into a grocery store. And even moving into, we've not done it yet, but it's on that horizon. It's like, we want to make our own laundry detergent. We don't want to be adding in more chemicals into the water system, and doing things as naturally as possible. That is our eventual final goal. But it's like, you can't just rip it all out at once. So
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
yes, Ben George, that would that is your best thing to do, is just to start small, and
Mhm.
grow things that you do like. So if you are a person that does like salad, or you
Mhm.
like green beans, things that are easy to grow. And I'm a strong believer of cut and come agains.
Mhm.
So any vegetable that, the more you pick, and green beans, like pole beans or any bush beans, the
Right.
more you pick, the more they keep coming.
Yeah.
Um, that to me is one. Broccoli is another one. You get your first big crown, and then you get your side shoots for, as long as your frost holds off, in climates that are not Carol's, not
All
the
right.
crazy hot ones.
Frost? What's frost? Then, George, that's the first thing you find out is what your zone is, your hardiness zone. And
Yes.
then you can also look for your state extension service. And they usually will have a vegetable gardening calendar for you to look at. And then you can pick those things, like Diva was saying, pick from that list for that time or that month where they say it should be going in.
Yeah.
But usually, like beginning gardeners, I would say to do some seeds, but start with starts. Just start
Yes.
with starts and
Yes.
see if you can maintain that start and let it grow and just get used to the rhythm of gardening, because it does kind of have a rhythm. And my rhythm is very lazy. That's why I like my tropicals. I like my zone. I probably would suffer if I was in, this zone where you have to have this very cold weather and everything kind of just, stops, or you've got to have a greenhouse to keep growing. I don't know what I would do.
Yes. Yes.
I like my perennials, like Diva was saying, cut and come again. I love perennials for that reason, is they just do their
Yeah.
thing. I
They
love my
take care of you.
bananas. They just do their thing. My mulberries does its thing. My soursop
Exactly.
didn't for years, and so I threatened it, and I finally got 2 fruit off the tree. So you also communicate with your plants. They are living things. Like,
Yeah.
you breathe around them, you sing around them. They love that oxygen, that
Yeah.
exchange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to be all woo woo. I just mean, like, it
Well,
understands.
you were threatening. You were
I did.
mean.
I did.
Don't always
It
encourage
knows.
threatening.
Well,
But
because some people threaten, and that plant knows you're not serious because you're already taking my leaves and making tea out of it. So I'm safe. My plant knew I had taken out 2 trees right near it that weren't doing enough. So it was like, oh,
yeah.
boop, there go 2 fruits.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mrs. Ghetto says,
Yeah.
cucumber and tomatoes. Again, the more you pick your cucumber, another one comes, and
Right.
another one
Right.
comes, so they are really great.
Yeah.
Great vegetables to start with, and just start small.
Yeah.
2, 3 things with starts.
Yeah. Depending
Go
on where
ahead.
you are, cucumbers and tomatoes might not be your season right now. You're going into fall.
No, that's true. Okay, go ahead. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Zach.
Zach.
Sorry.
We're chitty chatties.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, that's why I'm trying to build our community like I am. It's because we are more stronger together and we won't be lost.
Mm-hmm.
I started 3 years ago, and I started with potatoes, which are simple.
Yep.
It's awesome.
That is great. And it's a filling vegetable. That's the other thing too. Look for your filling vegetables, your high calorie dense. Because getting into gardening now with the way things are going down in the world, look into that survival gardening for your area, because there's a lot of people talking about it now. Back in the day, they weren't. David the Good was one of the first ones I ever heard talk about it. But also, also look up permaculture for your area. That's working with the land. That's working with design of your yard, with the light, with the shadow that you have going. And also, like Shawnee was saying, like reserving your water. They do it through swales. My friend Diva here did it with mounding. They were planting, and they did the mounding planting, which kept their soil more moist because you had the water going in between. Yep. And that garden is amazing. It's incredible.
Look at that spud. That's pretty
awesome,
gorgeous.
That's a pretty beautiful spud right there. Great potato.
And
there's nothing like potatoes from the garden that you've grown yourself. Yeah, it's Grow or Die. That book is great, from David the Good. Yeah, and Push the Zone too. If you're not down in my zone, Push the Zone is a good one too.
Okay, cool.
All right. I would like to grow my own loofah. Oh, you can do that. This one right here. Oh, you did not eat them. Tuck, you're such a kidder. I didn't finish his sentence at first. I'd like to grow loofah. The ones I got from Bed Bath & Beyond were chewy. I fell for it.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, Zach has great stuff.
Hmm.
We just refound each other. Which garlic can cause the most gas noise? Music garlic. It makes you musical.
Hmm.
Make sure and keep a lookout for pest bugs for what you're growing. Yes, yes. Well, that's too, making sure that you're growing the right plant for the right time in the right area, and that takes experimenting. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid. Don't be afraid to kill things.
Yeah.
Do not be
Yeah.
afraid. That's part of the learning process. You are going to kill plants. The more plants you kill, the more you learn. And you
Yeah,
know,
and always look at companion planting because
mhm,
there might be an herb that might go with that plant,
right,
which will actually help to deter some of the pests and the
right,
bugs. You know,
right.
your
But that's
tomatoes, like
a great idea.
your
Yeah,
tomatoes and basil. It's great to grow basil with your tomatoes,
right,
which it's great to eat your tomatoes with basil as well. And so
right.
when you have a few plants like that, that is they're giving off a different scent
Yeah,
and it confuses the bugs. So
right.
it's, little by little, we inch our way little by little.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
grew in pots the first year and a little bit in ground. And now what goes in pots is mostly just all herbs,
Hey,
some of my lettuces,
hey, devil dog.
and a great app for gardening is called
Yeah,
Stick with a Spoon. Oh,
I think
cool.
I have that. I don't remember if, yeah, I think I might have that one. I don't use it that often though. The apps are good, but you still have to know your zone, and you still have to, you really want to tap into your local extension service and even find out if you have an extension of that extension service near you in your county, because you often will. Like we have one that's where you'll go if you ever desire to get a master gardener. And what you usually have to put in is volunteer hours for the community. You're actually helping the community. Let me see, reduce their dependence on chemical inputs. I think we kind of covered this with regenerative gardening. You are reducing your dependence on chemical inputs. You're rotating your crops. You're planting sometimes even what's called a trap crop, which is basically that one you don't care about, and you kind of maintain this other one over here, and then you
Yeah.
get rid of that trap crop. But you can also plant the garden like we were talking about for beneficial insects to reduce chemical input. Also
Right.
finding out what would work in your garden that you can use, that like some people do use neem, but don't overuse it.
Hmm.
You don't want to kill the beneficial insects because it's not selective. It's going to kill everything.
Yeah.
You also don't want to burn your plants. You need to know when to spray these things on your plants. Fungicides too. You need to know what are organic or considered organic fungicides. Copper, I think, is the one that is. Um, but those things, like Ms. Ghetto was saying, like if you're going to put in a plant, yeah, it's great to research what's going to attack this plant, because I didn't know that as a new gardener. I didn't know that not just hornworms like tomatoes,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything
No.
like tomatoes.
Yeah. I
And
have no clue.
yeah, and I didn't know too. You don't want a lack of air around. You need air around your plants. They need to be aerated. Air needs to move around them, or that too invites pests and disease.
Yeah.
But that's another way too to reduce chemical inputs, is making sure you have air, right plant, right place, right time of year.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that ends up, yeah, you produce food and you become more self-reliant that way.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cover crops are important. In fact, they use them in between rows now, Tuck. I've heard. I've heard too. Somebody was saying it in the side chat about just ripping up grass and what a waste that is. I definitely agree with that. You don't have to rip up all your grass. You can also solarize it, which is just putting a tarp over it during a hot part of the year. And it's going to kill off that grass seed, but it's not going to harm the soil. It's going to still give the soil nutrition through that
Yes.
and
Yes.
like tilling it in. But or you can just take out strips and leave the living your grass or your cover crop in between the crops that you're growing, but instead of just using mulch, like it's
Right.
it's an option. Apparently groundhogs, yeah, they do love tomatoes, don't they, Duncan? I think a guy made a whole channel about that. Hey, Moon, good to see you. Oh, thank you, Shelly Seashells.
Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah, we'll be happy to have you. I'm usually live at 11:30 on Friday, 11:30 Eastern, and then Diva goes live on Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern, and she'll do the Pacific because I don't know anything about that. But I think this Saturday you're off, but
Yeah.
you'll be back next Saturday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will be at yours tomorrow night.
Yay! So
Mhm.
yeah, 11:30. Yeah, Living Pathways Soil Bank. There's that too. Yep. That's what Howie does. That's more his Living Pathway Soil Bank is more of mulching, and then he goes and he retrieves it. He creates like a
Mm.
mulching system, and then after it breaks down, he goes and retrieves the soil.
Yes. Yeah, and Mrs. Ghetto says, make sure you prune, and as you were talking, and
Yeah.
that was something that, like, and it's when
I
you
didn't
first
know.
are
Yeah.
growing, and they say prune it, and like with your tomatoes, it only needs a few sun leaves, and when you're in there and you're pruning, you're like, I think I'm killing this plant, but it's like, no, 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 and every year I go, I'm gonna take it down, and I think this is the first year that I ever got it where I actually got some sparse spots within the tomato vine.
Yeah.
Still not at that place where it's like, yeah,
Right.
hack it back, because
Right.
then it's all going to go into the fruit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
There's also too making sure with certain plants you want to get any of the stuff that's touching the soil, the leaves that are touching the soil, to chop those because it's an easy entry for any of those creepy crawlies onto your plant.
absolutely.
Of course, the stem is too, but you can put. Somebody was saying like pistachio shells. You can use crushed up eggshells around certain plants if you don't want slugs or snails to go up them or other bugs. If you don't want to use diatomaceous earth because of the bees. They also have a clay spray too that you can spray on fruit. It's made out of, I'm trying to think of the name of the clay. Kaolin. It's made out of kaolin clay. That's also, we can ingest it. Yes, yes, they do. That's what I'm thinking of, Duncan, is the tomatoes, and that's what, Diva was mentioning. And we didn't know that as new gardeners. We had no clue.
No. Nope. And you have to watch the extra suckers on your tomatoes, which that I do have a hard time. Like once it sets fruit,
Yeah,
if
no,
one
I
of the
leave
new
them.
suckers,
If they set fruit, I'm like, you're staying. Give me
no,
fruit.
I gotta keep it. And
Yeah.
pretty soon, what was 5 tomato plants has now turned into about 15 to 20 tomato plants because I missed the window to cut off that sucker. So.
Oh, Storm's what? He's afraid it's a butternut squash instead of the pumpkin.
Serena, I try to plant myself, and then when I harvest, I'll do my best to do it myself, but if it's in ground, my dad helps me dig.
Excellent.
It's great at your dad. We just said, not if it sets fruit, Mrs. Ghetto. If it sets fruit, we leave it. Because sometimes you just can't catch those suckers. They're suckers. They're just, boom.
Yeah. And they grow overnight.
No, not the ones with fruit. The others, yes.
Yeah.
But you can reuse them, though, Mrs. Ghetto. That's a plant. You take it off and you can replant it.
Yeah.
I haven't done that.
I think Shawnee maybe did that.
Yeah.
Or someone else. I think they had gone ahead and taken the suckers out. I could be thinking of someone else. Maybe it's not you, Shawnee.
There you go. Duncan's telling you how to do it. Put the suckers in a glass of water to root and make new plants. Ta-da!
Yeah.
And those might be plants for you, or like Diva does, she has her, what do you call it? Your vegetable.
My farm stand.
Your farm stand. Duh. She has the farm stand. Oh, that's awesome, Ben.
Oh, thank you.
Yay! I wish I could get gifted memberships. I never have been able to on YouTube.
Oh, bless you.
Bless you, Ben. That was very sweet of you.
Yeah, I just opened up membership, so I'm kind of new to it.
Very new. So that's what
very new.
Such a sweet blessing. Thank you, Ben. We both just got through our, like, well, you're almost to your 4,000. We got through
Yeah.
our 3,000. Yeah, we're just getting there. So that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shawnee said, no, per planting season is too short to do that.
Oh.
That's right, Storms. You're still growing stuff. You got the green thumb. You make some of us jealous. I don't know who. I'm not sure who gets jealous of that green thumb of yours. That every time you plant a seed, something seems to grow from it, and it fruits. I don't know who that would be, but I've heard something.
A little bit of jealousy.
A little bit of I wish I had that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have a green
Oh,
thumb. But
Serena got one. Oh, awesome,
yeah,
Serena.
Serena. So that was it was bought by Ben George.
So sweet, Ben.
So
okay, we're ready.
I'm 1,450 hours away from memberships.
Wow, congratulations.
That's awesome. Gotta help Zach get there. That's awesome. Did you set up your lists yet? Okay. Set those up so people can run your lists.
I think he's got.
Does he?
Yeah, I think you've got
playlist? Does he have playlist?
playlist. I think he does.
Okay. Oh, he does. Yeah, he has them. Okay. That's awesome.
Now they're all showing up on because they've gotten they all get the little sticker that says
awesome.
that
Cool.
it's got a little sticker with me on it.
Awesome.
That's so cool. I've never seen that.
Sweet of you. You guys are gonna love Diva's channel and all that she does. She's the real deal. She's got the all spark. She's got that all spark.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Now I don't even know what to do. I'm a little bit
Oh, how funny. Some of our friends who couldn't make it tonight got memberships. Storm's got one. Yay. And so did Shawnee.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben.
Aw, that's so cute. That's so cool. They get to have me. Yes. Their sticker is me.
Very cool.
Oh, Storms Radios and Cats says he's 2,929 public watch hours. So basically you need 70. What is it? 71. 71.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, Ben.
Oh, LP got one.
Oh my goodness.
Ben, you're awesome. Oh, GT got one. Oh, this is the sweetest
bless
thing.
you.
Sharon.
I have no idea how that works.
Me either, because I never get one. I don't understand why. I never get gifted memberships in any channel.
No, I have no idea how it even works.
Tuck. Good night, sweet friend.
Good night, Tuck. Well, thank you, Ben. That's very, very kind of you. I'm at 80. I think I'm at 81 hours.
Get what I was.
You're
really close.
I'm really close to the very final one here. I'll tell you what my total was. Yeah, 81 hours. I have 81 hours left to hit the 4,000.
About 341. Is that right? Yeah.
You get a membership, and you get a membership.
Right.
You get a membership. Everybody gets a membership.
I don't know if they're even in here, Storms. Maybe they're in the bushes. Yeah, brought them right out of the bushes. That was so sweet. Hi, LP. Yeah. Good to see you.
That's
it's
hilarious.
So cool. That was really awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, it's like, wow.
Thank you, Bushes people, too. Those of you listening in Bushes, we appreciate you.
We do really appreciate you. Yeah. Yes, we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
One of the primary ways gardeners can reduce their dependence on chemical inputs is through composting.
Yeah.
Composting not only recycles organic waste into nutrient-rich soil but also reduces the need for chemical fertilizers. By creating compost from kitchen scraps, yard waste, and plant material, gardeners can naturally replenish the nutrients in their soil without resorting to synthetic alternatives. Composting also improves soil structure, promotes beneficial microbial activity, and helps retain moisture, making plants healthier and more resilient. Natural pest control methods can further reduce the reliance on chemical pesticides. Companion planting, for example, involves growing certain plants together to naturally repel pests or attract beneficial insects that prey on pests. Marigolds, for instance, are known to deter many harmful
Yep.
insects, while attracting pollinators to the garden.
Yeah, I was thinking of marigolds. That's funny.
Introducing natural predators, such as ladybugs or predatory insects, is another method that supports a balanced ecosystem where harmful pests are kept in check without the use of harmful chemicals. These techniques allow gardeners to maintain healthy crops while avoiding the environmental damage associated with chemical pesticides. Water conservation is another key strategy for self-reliant gardening systems. Rainwater harvesting, drip irrigation, and mulching are all techniques that help gardeners manage water use more efficiently. By collecting and storing rainwater, gardeners can reduce their dependence on municipal water systems, which are often subject to government regulations or price fluctuations. Mulching around plants reduces evaporation, keeping soil moist for longer periods and reducing the need for frequent watering. Efficient water use is especially important in times of drought or water scarcity, making gardens more resilient to environmental stress. Seed-saving practices also contribute to self-reliance by reducing the need to purchase seeds each year. By saving seeds from their best-performing plants, gardeners ensure that their crops become more adapted to their local environment over time. This reduces the reliance on commercial seed suppliers, some of which may offer GMO seeds or varieties that are not well suited to local growing conditions. The practice of seed saving also contributes to preserving genetic diversity, which is essential for the long-term sustainability of food systems. Community-supported agriculture, CSA, and local food networks offer additional opportunities for reducing dependence on government-controlled food sources. By participating in or supporting local food systems, gardeners can trade or share surplus produce with others in their community, creating a decentralized food supply. This strengthens local economies and builds resilience against external disruptions. By growing and consuming local food, gardeners help create systems that are more sustainable, reducing reliance on distant supply chains that are vulnerable to political or economic instability. UP out.
It's great, Zach. I always feel like my answers are so incomplete when I listen to you. When I listen to what you say. You're so good. You're so thorough. I love it. Yeah, definitely like a writer for sure. Like an author.
I feel pretty much the same. You say, I say my thing, Carol says, and it's like upset. And then Zach comes
Yeah.
in and just like,
Yeah. Blows it. Blows it out of the water. Well, that's good to know, Double Dog. Yeah, I think the company that was
Ooh,
talking about that said that.
wow.
But
That's
they're still going and trying to own the constituents if you look it up. There's a lot of buying up of constituents of things. They are, aren't they, Shelley? I think that's how you know that you were meant to garden is that excitement when they pop
yeah.
up. Like,
Yeah.
when they just send out even those first little leaves and you're like, oh, it's alive.
Well, yeah, any of your brassicas, they're like, you can accidentally, inhale one. They're so tiny, and you go, everything it needs is all in that tiny little seed. It's just amazing, amazing. And then out there, you're gonna get this, beautiful broccoli. Just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I can't find it, LP. The 3 little dots are like, oh, I see what I didn't do. Okay. Sorry, she's trying to walk me through this whole thing. Oh,
Gift settings.
yeah, I don't even see the join button on
Question number 5. How can gardening become a foundational tool in counteracting potential harmful effects of chemtrails, GMOs, and other environmental concerns?
Well, many things that we just even shared tonight is, number one, growing as much as you can and as often as you can, and then um, relying on and creating your own compost tea, which I like to call poo poo juice
Mhm.
because it stinks. And so that you're making sure that you're feeding your garden, not upsetting the your soil, that microbiome underneath the soil, that it's all stays continued and is connected, to not go and rototill that all up, putting on the cover crops. Like right now with my garden away from home, we were at my live the other night, we were talking about me looking for landscape, fabric to cover over, because it is a very weedy garden. And then Marissa piped up and, she said, the only thing is that some of the plastics, they can, get into the soil. And she said, what about coffee sacks? So then I said, right, we can cover the entire garden in coffee sacks. So that is going to let the rains through. Also, they break down because it's just burlap and um, burlap and whatnot, that it will break down over time. So it also will feed the soil. But if you're not going to cover your gardens like through the fall right now, like what we're getting prepared to be finished, then it's a good idea to plant some cover crops. Aw, Callie loves Zachary. And so again, some of the things that we've chatted about, just to do our part, each one individual. You got hundreds of thousands of us all doing this. That's going to make a difference. Make a difference in our communities. Make a difference in the world.
Right.
Hmm.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was trying to work on that whole gift membership thing too and listening. How can it? Well, first of all, you have to try it and do it.
Yeah.
First of all, it's like getting people to at least try it. You have to try. But potential harmful effects. Well, it's input output. Basically, if you're not putting anything in, it's not going to cancel out all that input that they're putting into us. If you're not going to cancel it out with something good, then we're constantly being exposed to things that alter our hormones, alter our brain chemistry. And if we're not giving our system, our bodies the support that they need and strengthening them, like even just, I'm terrible with sleep. I'm awful with it. And I heard just getting off a sleep schedule just by a little bit, and you can become basically pre-diabetes. You can become insulin resistant. Hey, Bayou Sugar. Oh, Marissa's in here now. Hey. But for counteract, it is more or less, it comes down to not just gardening, but it comes down to gardening what goes into your body, gardening
Yes.
what you're exposing yourself to.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, and other environmental concerns. Yeah, of course, we have like microplastics. I heard that they're even up in our brains now, which is absolutely scary. Trying to do things to combat everything that we're hearing that is against us. It's almost like everybody's ready for this big clash and civil war. We're already in it, but it's for our lives. They are treating us like a product and making money off of us for being sick. and they're kind of pushing and pulling us, and yet, like I said earlier, it's a circle. They're all connected, and they're getting money out of us one way or another. Even this whole thing with all these fearful things coming at us. Our
Yeah.
cortisol goes up and through the roof. Our health goes down. Our immune system goes
Yep.
down. So if something gets introduced into the environment that just might happen and get everyone sick, we're primed for it because they primed
Mhm.
us. You know,
Mhm.
things like that. So taking a walk and getting your cortisol down.
Mhm.
You know, having that time in the garden. Gardening can be very therapeutic, but you're fighting for yourself right now when it comes to gardening. It's your sword, and you need to take up your sword and you need to fight back because they are using food against us. So we will be reliant on pharmaceuticals, and big pharma, yes, does the spraying of our fields, and then we go to them for the drugs that we need because we're sick and we don't know why, and yet
Mhm.
they cause us to be that way. So
Mhm.
we're eating their food that they've sprayed or that they've sold seeds for, and they're making contracts with farmers. So we need to, like, you know, Zach was saying, like, we need to free up our own and store our own seeds so we are not
Mhm.
reliant on going, you know, to the store one day. If we can get to that point, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I'm seeing, like in Diva's larder, is so encouraging. I look at my own stuff and I'm like, okay, well, I bought all my stuff for preps. She's
Mhm.
making it right from her garden. Gee, which is healthier?
Well, I can't grow rice, so I
Yeah,
bought a bag of rice.
yeah. But I'm
Or
saying, like, you know, you got like some really nice stuff in that larder that
yeah.
is not in cans. That's another thing too. A lot of our cans have plastic liners inside of them, and that's getting into our food.
Yeah.
And even like you look at my dad's generation, they cooked on a lot of aluminum, and you want
Right.
to separate aluminum from your cooking. You do not want to be using aluminum pans,
Yeah.
aluminum foil touching your
Yeah.
food. Get some parchment paper to separate it. Aluminum in Alzheimer's is really super connected,
Mhm.
and heavy metals in general. You want to watch out. They're spraying us with heavy metals. You want to watch out what you're cooking with. But those kind of things, like you are gardening yourself first, and
Mhm.
that is the garden that you're creating in the backyard is an extension of that.
That's
Like,
beautiful.
you like that, Zach? Thank you.
Ah, it's so good. That's so good. You gotta write that down and get it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'll have to watch Zach again to remember what I said. It's in that Rolodex, and the little things just fall right out. No,
Mm,
Ben, you're not screwed. Everybody starts from ground zero
that's
on
right.
on something, and if it's gardening, then you just start. Just plant something. Just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, NorCal Gym, we do stainless steel, but then we
Mhm.
also cook on cast iron.
Yeah.
You know, we ditched the Teflon years and
Yeah.
years and years ago. So it's like it's either stainless steel, stoneware, like I have stoneware for
Mhm.
some of the baking ware and
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still in the
Mhm.
process of doing that. I had a really nice all clad, but it had Teflon in it. And it was my mom's too. And then
Mm,
for those of you
mm.
who don't know me, my mother passed in October 22nd. It'll be 2 years, and I took care of her. So it's like I am still not going through her stuff really well. And I cook with certain things. And I was like, you know what, though? That could be killing me. I don't need that. That could be
Yeah.
harming my family. She wouldn't want me to keep it around if she knew it was harming us. So I got rid of it and left it in a non-stick.
Wow.
Oh, ew. That is so gross.
Mhm.
Wow, it ate it
Yeah.
right up. Well, nonstick cookware I learned from having birds, like you just heat it up and they breathing in those fumes will die. It'll kill them. Whatever it off gas is will kill them. Same thing with inside of our ovens. They've lined our ovens with it. So it's really hard to get away from.
Mm.
And same thing, you heat up that oven to clean it. You do the automatic cleaning cycle and you have birds in that room. It can kill those birds.
Yeah.
Their lungs are that sensitive. So imagine what it's doing to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not getting that quick, that's like the canary in a coal mine.
Yes.
But we don't know. We have no clue. And the coal mine is like crumbling around us, but the canary, we don't necessarily keep them,
Yeah. You might not be able to pinpoint on why you're sick. You start getting sick and could be for whatever reason. And it's like, it could be tied in to, the Teflon gas. It could be tied into many aspects, many things. So
yeah, Brady, me, I don't use cast iron that much either as I get older, because it's harder for us as we get older, it's harder for our system to get rid of metals. And so, yeah, I rarely use cast iron. I use stainless steel.
Yep.
Mostly stainless steel. Or I do use some glass. I use some old Pyrex, the Pyrex that won't shatter on you in the oven. Or Corningware. I haven't researched that, so don't come for me if I didn't send for you, but do let me know. Do let me know gently if Corningware is bad. Just
no, look away. Look away. I don't want to have to get rid of my Corningware.
I know, I like my Corningware. I had to put up my other stuff on the shelf, the colored Pyrex with its lead paint.
Yes.
But I look at it. I just, hey, you're cute.
It's pretty.
I'm not touching you. No touching. Thank you, Zach. We really appreciated this.
Yeah, it was good. Good to hang out and
great people.
He's got to do his final.
Oh yeah, he will. This is great. Yeah, blow us out of the water now.
Gardening provides a direct connection to the food we eat, giving individuals control over the quality and safety of their food. Concerns about environmental pollution, such as chemtrails, can drive people to seek out alternatives to store-bought produce, which may be exposed to these chemicals. By growing their own food, gardeners can ensure that their crops are free from harmful contaminants and chemicals that may be present in industrial agriculture. Organic gardening methods, which avoid synthetic pesticides and fertilizers, further enhance the safety and health of the food produced in home gardens. Gardening also offers a solution to the potential dangers of GMOs, which have raised concerns about health risks, environmental degradation, and corporate control of the food supply. By choosing to grow heirloom or organic seeds, gardeners can bypass GMOs entirely, ensuring that their food is not genetically modified. This allows individuals to retain control over what they consume, rejecting the dominance of GMO crops in the industrial food system. Gardening provides an opportunity to opt out of a system that prioritizes profit over health, enabling people to make conscious choices about the food they grow and eat. Gardens can also act as small-scale ecosystems that promote environmental restoration, helping to counter the damage caused by industrial agriculture and pollution. Practices like planting cover crops, improving soil health through composting, and fostering biodiversity can create healthier local environments. These techniques not only produce better food but also help mitigate broader environmental concerns, such as soil degradation and loss of habitat. In this way, gardening becomes a tool for both personal and environmental healing, offering a proactive approach to addressing the environmental damage attributed to chemtrails, GMOs, and other factors. Beyond the practical aspects, gardening empowers individuals by offering a tangible way to take control of their health. The act of growing food provides a sense of independence and self-sufficiency, reducing reliance on external systems that may not prioritize individual well-being. Gardening encourages people to be more mindful of what they consume, fostering a deeper understanding of nutrition and the sources of food. This empowerment extends beyond physical health, contributing to mental and emotional well-being by reconnecting individuals with nature and the cycles of life. Gardening also fosters a sense of community and shared purpose, as individuals come together to grow food and share knowledge. In this sense, it becomes a collective act of resistance against harmful environmental practices, offering an alternative vision for how food can be grown and shared. Whether through community gardens, seed swaps, or local food networks, gardening strengthens the bonds between people and the land, creating systems of mutual support that can withstand external pressures. This collective empowerment is essential for creating a future where individuals have control over their food sources, health, and environment. UP out.
That's awesome.
Great. Yeah. Wow. You could definitely do talks all on, like your channel does, but you could be a guest speaker. It's like a TED talk. You're so like intelligent, Zach. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, LP's liking it. Yeah, everybody's like, that is excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent point.
Yeah. Well, I know for myself, just being a part of a community, my first year, I was just, um, you know, doing my videos and posting them up. And then when I got invited into a gardening community, it was just like my world opened up, and you got to meet people and hear their struggles and their successes, and you got to, cheer them on. And that has been like, it was just like, I just felt like I was the only person in my own little world. I had no idea that you could have these great conversations, meet fabulous people, end up meeting dear friends who, would go to hell and back for you. I have to go cough. Hang on.
Coughing break. Coughing break. We're just taking a coughing break.
Coughing break. Yeah. So it's it's just so great. And then you learn how to grow. You learn, um, just where you failed, where something has gone wrong. You'll know someone else has gone, hey, I've tried this, and you go, here's something else for me to try. And then the seed swapping that goes on, and it's just like,
Right.
it's such a beautiful community of people all together, like-minded. We're all different, we all have different
Right.
faiths and different belief systems, but we're like-minded in, we want to grow our own food. We want to be self-sufficient and not reliant on the powers that be out there that are poisoning us. Mhm.
Yeah. Definitely like-minded in
Any
that.
final thoughts on tonight's discussion?
I just did mine.
Plant something. If you have it in your heart, like hearing this on Zach's channel or anybody's channel and it's tugging at you, just do it. You just have to try it. There's enough things out there in various places and kits where you can try to grow. Even if you grow what are they called? Microgreens. Just grow microgreens then. Try microgreens. That can be your win. Do little wins and that'll make you feel better about gardening. It was really a good
Absolutely.
stream. Thank you, Zach. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, they do kind of demonize it, Ben George.
As we look to the future, gardening emerges as a powerful tool for reclaiming control over our food systems, health, and the environment. In a world where corporate and government entities increasingly dominate the agricultural landscape, the simple act of growing food in your backyard or community can serve as an act of resistance. Gardening not only provides a source of fresh, nutritious food but also allows individuals to break free from the grip of GMOs, harmful chemicals, and other pollutants that threaten both our health and the planet. By embracing self-sufficiency, we create resilient, sustainable systems that prioritize the well-being of both people and the environment. The importance of biodiversity and heirloom seeds cannot be overstated. As monoculture farming and GMOs threaten to homogenize the food supply, gardeners hold the key to preserving the rich variety of plants that have sustained humanity for generations. Saving and sharing seeds, practicing organic methods, and fostering ecological balance are all ways we can safeguard the future of food. Each garden becomes a pocket of resistance, a place where life thrives in its natural form, and a community can build resilience against external forces beyond our control. Gardening also empowers us to address broader environmental concerns such as chemtrails, industrial pollutants, and soil degradation. By adopting regenerative practices, we can restore the health of the land and create local ecosystems that are capable of withstanding environmental stressors. These small-scale actions may seem insignificant, but together they form a powerful movement toward a healthier, more self-reliant world.
Mhm.
Gardening teaches us that solutions to global problems often begin at home, in the soil beneath our feet. Thank you for joining me in this discussion about the future of gardening and its potential to bring about positive change. I hope you're inspired to take action and start growing your own food, whether it's a small herb garden or a larger plot in your community.
Mhm.
Please like, subscribe, share, and comment to keep the conversation going. Love you all, and as Proverbs 12 verse 11, KJV, reminds us, he that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
Love that, Zach. Gave me chills.
Mhm. Amen.
Mhm. Amen, indeed.
Hey community, Unique Prepping has partnered up with Hunter Brothers Coffee. It's a veteran-owned coffee company out of Pennsylvania. They sell across the world, and have light, medium, dark roasts, ground or whole beans, and even flavored coffee. If you like to order coffee, use my link in the description of this video or go to my LinkTree. At checkout you'll get a 9% discount. Order you some coffee and help support veterans in need and help get service dogs as well. Thank you, and let's help our veterans since they helped keep our country safe.
Making moves on your chess piece, always on the grind in this game called life. Gotta sharpen up the mind. Unique prepping, got the vision locked and loaded. Every challenge that arises, I'm determined, I'm devoted. Stay ready for the call, answer life's demands, and we'll rise together. We'll take our stance. Unique prepping, it's more than a show. We're building foundations, we're ready to grow. Like, share, comment, let your voice be known. Together we can thrive, we're never alone. Every view, every like, your support is the fire that keeps me hyped. Comment, depth, and insight, share the vision wide. This community's growing and we'll ride this tide. So go ahead and subscribe, don't miss a beat. Tune in next time, let's make this complete. Unique prepping, it's more than a show. We're building foundations, we're ready to grow. Like, share, comment, let your voice be known. Together we can thrive, we're never alone. Pushing forward, let that fire ignite. See you next time, let's keep it bright. Like, share, comment. Prepping, it's more than a show. We're building foundations, we're ready to grow. Like, share, comment, let your voice be known. Together we can thrive, we're never alone. You pushing forward, let that fire ignite. See you next time, let's make this complete. Unique prepping, it's more than a show. We're building foundations, we're ready to grow. Like, share, comment, let your voice be known. Together we can thrive, we're never alone. Never alone. Never alone. Keep pushing forward, let that fire ignite. See you next time, let's keep it bright. Yeah. Let that fire ignite. See you next time. Let's keep it bright.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Matthew 5 verse 9 KJV.